as all light is subsumed within the sun as its source, all phenomena are subsumed within awakened mind as their source. Even the impurity and confusion in the universe of appearances and possibilities. Whatever occurs by examining basic space as its matrix and abode, you find that it has no foundation, but is subsumed within the timeless freedom of mind. Beyond labels and their meanings, confusion and its absence are subsumed within the true nature of phenomena, the timeless expanse, a supremely spacious state. Even the marvelous display of awareness's own pure manifestations, the kaya's pure realms, timeless awareness, and enlightened activities, is subsumed within the naturally occurring state that is not made or unmade. Awakened mind subsumes the universe of appearances and possibilities, all of samsara and nirvana. Lucid and uncompounded, it can be compared to the sun shining in the empty sky. Occurring primordially and naturally, it is a spacious, timeless expanse. Mind itself is an unchanging, vast expanse, the realm of space. Its display, the dynamic energy of awakened mind, is indeterminate, in that it entails mastery over samsara, nirvana, and all spiritual approaches. This unique state in which nothing need be done outshines everything else. There is no context anywhere that constitutes an extreme. There is no straying at all from the true nature of phenomena, awakened mind. Continuing with the precious treasury of the basic space of phenomena on Chempa, as always, if the book is potent and your karma pure, we can get enlightened just by reading a book of this caliber as a spiritual tool. Anyways, welcome to the 12-Step Buddhist Podcast, episode 93. My name is Darren Littlejohn. I've been your host since 2008. It's an ad-free show. Make a donation over at the podcast website. You can always find show notes, links, teaching materials, things that we've covered, such as the 37 practices of a bodhisattva, aspects on teachings on refuge and various aspects of refuge and the development of bodhicitta or compassion. Well, you can find it at podcast.compassionaterecovery.us. Because it's about us, one big community. On this rock we're spinning around and really suffering together. Most of us are completely unaware, as one of my instructors said in a teaching this morning. I think I'm doing two simultaneous retreats concurrently. I don't know. The idea is that most people are not contemplative, and if you're contemplative, well, I'll give you an example. This is how us contemplatives are viewed by non-contemplatives. It was, maybe around 2011, I was in Portland over on Stark, Southeast, and I was walking the dogs, and I saw a moment to just sit down and look up at the blue sky, and practice a little bit of that sky-gazing meditation of the blue sky, and just being in basic space, and noticing it's just pure, empty blue. We don't even exist. So I was doing this, when you have all your senses open, your eyes are open, your mouth, your nose, your breathing, your ears, you're really, open. And this guy came up and started yelling at me before he went into his apartment I said, well, what? My dogs aren't doing anything to you. They're not even, what's your problem? And he's like, well, you're sitting there with this stupid look on your face. And I'm like, okay, well, it's a free country. And hey, I thought Portland was supposed to be weird anyways, asshole. And so that was, 12 years ago. And this is basically how a contemplative is looked at. Like, what is it? What is that? You have to go into a mystical state of mind. Alcoholics Anonymous, the 12 steps in general, tell us that we must go into a mystical state of mind. They call it other things, but this is a transcendent state of mind. And when we enter into such things, any artist, any musician, any daydreamer, any dreamer, we know what it's like. We're just kind of in a day, but we're criticized, chastised. We're not really supported for it unless we're lucky. And people who've grown up later than I did, maybe had cooler parents who were more open to things. Lucky you, but this idea of being different in the community of Earth and where we live, and we really don't have any. Can I jump on another ship? No, I'm really so I can't do anything about being here. I need to be feeling like I belong, like when I take a step on the earth. So let's do something in a practice, and yes, it's a practice. The topic today is on refuge and compassion, but let's think just in terms of a bit of compassion as not being a weakness or a sense of you're being empathetic and you're being easily suckered and taken advantage of, or that if you maybe even have an obstacle to your practice of not being willing to be compassionate and be open because of various risks and fears and traumas and so forth involved. But, we can arm ourselves. And I'm going to think back at least another decade or more ago. A psychic told me and my shaman told me to, put up a protection. Imagine, sacred gems around you, surrounding you at north, south, east, and west. The earth, air, fire, water, surrounded by 4 archangels, or a band of light, or however armor you can envision yourself, right? But really, if you want to just make it simple, just imagine you're Godzilla for a moment. With a purposeful grimace and a terrible smile, he pulls those. Okay, so Blue Oyster Cult fan, I'm not. Just imagine for a moment that you're Godzilla and you're able to, shake the earth with every step. And if we can connect with this, and this is inspired by a teaching I received this morning, and I'm really interested in how we can work these ancient practices and methods into our contemporary moment. So we would just want to imagine that our compassion deity is as powerful as a Godzilla, even bigger. Like a Godzilla is big as, bigger than the earth. A Godzilla standing on the earth. A Godzilla bigger than the solar system. A Godzilla just encompassing all of space. The wisdom deity of compassion is like this. Our absolute or supreme bodhicitta is this. It's unmovable. You can't shake it, can't escape it, can't break it, can't make it better. We can fuck it up. We can fuck up ourselves, but we can't fuck up our pure nature. So the idea of sin as a Christian, and missing the mark and not understanding the heart of peace or the heart of Christ or the heart of compassion, it's missing the mark. In a sense, we're dualistic. There's a me and there's a you. There's a subject and an object. There's an us and there's a them, and there's a separation. There's a thing we identify as, and it's normally this limited being. But if we imagine ourselves as the wisdom deity of compassion, with not looking like Godzilla, but just feeling that strong, not mean, but feeling that powerful, that grounded, that earth-shaking, and that our heart of compassion is humming and vibrating with the energy of all the entities and benevolent beings and enlightened beings, throughout, as they say in the Dharma, the 3 times, the 10 directions, all encompassing, no reference, really. All of space is just filled with this pure compassion, and we are not separate from it. And in a sense, that's the wisdom deity. But we kind of come to this understanding, find a path to be able to manifest the fruit. So the understanding is, hey, I'm a contemplative, I'm a looker withinner. I might be a seer. I've never met a woman in the spiritual community of any kind who doesn't tell me she's an empath. Women are more empathic, but there are true empaths, and I'm one of them, and I'm not even the most empathic. But those of us who have these sort of gifts or curses or extra qualities, just more deepened qualities, more refined qualities, we refine them with our practice. I can tell you that if I do the practice of dedicating the merits to all beings that suffer, the fruits of our practice I'm not holding on to it, You got to give it away to keep it. We say in 12-step, as an addict in recovery, I'm a pretty selfish, self-centered individual, but it's more than that. We're all grasping and clinging. We're all selfish, self-centered, attached individuals, says the Dharma. Some of us are just better qualified. Some of us are just more skilled at being dicks, at being greedy, at being really like a barnacle onto everything. And just think of it as terror and have compassion for yourself. All right, so pause in the moment, reflect on open, empty space, have an inhale. Let it go effortlessly. Linger. Let go, dissolve. Be free. Dissolve. There's no you. No separation. Ask not if God is in your heart, but if you are in the heart of bodhicitta, the supreme, ultimate, absolute. So taking refuge in this heart of compassion. We've talked about refuge a lot on the show. We've talked about compassion a lot on the show. We've talked about in my books about attachment and addiction, healing, compassionate recovery. We go into the depths of how that works within our system and how to retool and repurpose and reuse. Just reinvent our addictive cycle and turn it into a compassion cycle. Compassionate Recovery, available now. Please buy 2 copies. Hey, if you're a therapist, email me, info@compassionaterecovery.us. I'll send you a copy for free, hard copy. Maybe 2, one for your client. If you're in a treatment center, hit me up. I can send you books. But these teachings are out there, and I'm working them into the current time and the current science and the neuroscience and the application of these ancient Dharmic principles, the teachings of the Buddha, into recovery. And yes, we're all addicts, but we don't all get arrested for our addictions, right? We can have compassion for ourselves by just understanding, and we can understand by just pausing, and we can pause by just fucking pause, man. Just pause right now. Let yourself be in the moment that you are in, exactly in the posture that you are in, as if you were freeze-framed, but you're not freeze-framed like a concrete. You're freeze-framed as fluidity, as light, as empty sound. Freeze frame with your eyeballs, though, and just let them be still, because when your eyes are still, your mind can chill. Let yourself listen, fall into the dimension of sound. As I said last week, in Zen, there's just breathing. There's not a me breathing. We get into non-dual, but non-dual isn't the whole deal. It's not just the non-dual deal. We don't try to drop in and escape and take refuge in some empty spot to hide out between thoughts. Rather, we're able to see the thoughts manifest. And we're able to notice within the heart of compassion the deepest wisdom deity, the deepest compassion, the supreme Avalokiteshvara, the supreme Chenrezig. the 1,000 Arms Chenrezig. I have this great compassion initiation through Lama Zopa Rinpoche and others. All of these transmissions and teachings bring us to the point where we have the capacity to understand we don't have to hate ourselves, any part of ourselves. And if we can just pause and be still, have an inhale, give that part of you that needs healing the space, exhale. And it's the Dakini's warm breath, let it flow. There's no difference between us and the empty, pure space. We could take refuge in our desire to help others and our ability to heal and to feel and to be empathic to the pain and suffering of others. And within ourselves, not just some sick codependent that can't take care of themselves. Come on, people, step up out of that. It's 2023. Heal for the joy of healing. You're healing as a healer. You're healing yourself. You're healing others. You're radiating light emanating from the pure heart center. All rainbow lights, bodhisattva of compassion. Inhale. Exhale, release all pure light to all beings. Let go of all tension. Just notice your desire floating like a little cloud in the sky, like a little shimmer of light on the vapor in the air. Rainbows everywhere. Emanations, swirling, blissful wisdom, creativity, peace. You couldn't get there, folks, if you weren't a contemplative. And the other people that are out there are in a lower stage of spiritual evolution. So you got to like yourself, and you got to trust yourself, and you got to know this aspect of yourself. And having compassion for ourselves is the first place. Really, the self-compassion is the first place. To practice the absolute compassion that we would have for anyone else. Can't you let yourself off the hook? Oma Hung, may we all be free of all suffering, especially that we impose on ourselves. If we weren't good ethical beings, we wouldn't care. We would have a heart of darkness instead. But since you care, you want to beat yourself up and flagellate yourself. Don't do it anymore. Say to yourself, hey, I get you. Have an inhale. Put your hand on your heart. Notice the part of you, the tension that needs the healing. Breathe into that space. Breathe warm Dakini breath. Breathe wisdom. Breathe the wisdom deity. Breathe it in, breathe it in, breathe it in. Encompass, envelop. Let that part of you just rest in there. Inhale. Just hold that breath open just a little bit in the throat. Relax there, suspended. Exhale, let it go. Let it be invisible. Let your attachment dissolve. Ego identity, non-existent. Pure, beautiful bliss. I would love to help you. How can I help you? I don't want you to suffer. I feel you as me. Please, let's help each other. This is taking refuge in compassion. This is being a Buddhist. This is walking the walk, not just talking the talk. Watch people's feet, regardless of what they say. Well, I've got a lot of changes going on. But wherever I go, the animals and I just, know them. And I feel them, and I have the empathy and the compassion, and then I bring them in, and then it's a big deal because I already got a peaceful equilibrium here with my other animals. But, I love them. So in my morning, I'm feeding the stray kitties. There's 3 or 4 of them, and got some food over here for them, and, this and that, and taking care of the other. I got a little routine. I'm going to get a farm going. Should I start a GoFundMe? Buddhist Sanctuary. A place for peace. Some animals that need some love, some people that might want to hang out and work with the animals, come for a weekend, do a little spiritual session, a little gathering center down there, a donkey, a couple of mini goats, an old pig that nobody wanted anymore from a farm, whatever, whoever needs us. Buddha's Sanctuary, that's my dream. I want a farm, and I think I need about 100 to 150K to get it started. So I don't know. I got to finish this next book. I've been busy working for a month and a half, and I'm really needing to work on my own stuff. But I'm happy that I was able to get you a podcast today, because it gets me in the state. I got to get in the state before I do the show so I can give you something, on which to go or not go. because you can't leave the Buddha seat. You just got to notice that you're already rainbow reflected light, shimmering in empty space. Om Ahum. Inhale. Find the heart of compassion. Accept all points are valid within yourself. You're you for a reason. Love yourself. Exhale. Let go of the tension. Just let the poison just evaporate. Let yourself be empty and free. I'll see you next week. Peace out and namaste.